Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we have probably my favorite series of this YouTube channel, my top 10 best-selling discs of the month, and for this month it is the month of August. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chris. I am co-owner of a disc golf store called Disc Zone, which is located in Santa Cruz, California. I've been doing this for about a year and a half now. Started my YouTube channel about a year ago, and this series has been quite popular amongst you guys, and so figured I'd keep it going. I really enjoy making these videos as well to see what I sell as a disc golf store owner, and I can share that information with you to give you some insight to what I sell and what's popular. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Coming in at disc number 10, we have the Fission Tesla. So this disc, I'm not sure, I believe it's made it onto the top 10 list maybe once or twice, but the Fission Tesla is by far much more popular than the other plastic types of the Tesla. And I'm pretty sure it's due to this fission plastic. For those of you that don't know, MVP created this micro bubble technology, which they coin as fission plastic. And it typically makes all their discs a little bit more understable or a lot more understable, depending on the mold. And it makes it basically a lot more amateur friendly. So they used to have the Wind Dragon or the Fission Dimension, which is really understable. Fission time lapses are much more understable. Originally, or at least a year ago when I was throwing the Neutron Teslas, they were a little bit more stable than anticipated, than the flight numbers stated even. I believe the numbers were 9.5, -1.2. So you'd expect a little bit of turn and just a little bit more fade, but they were just pretty overstable. They were kind of like overstable Thunderbirds, almost like Straighter Firebird-esque. I guess just a lot of people didn't really like them. But since they've come out in the fission plastic, and since I've stocked the fission plastic Teslas, they have been way more popular. I haven't tried one myself, but I'm assuming this is a nice hyzer flip straight with that reliable fade at the end. If this makes the top 10 list again, I honestly might have to try it out, see if it will make my back. But pretty sweet disc to start off the top 10 list. Getting into number 9, we have the special edition retooled Neutron time-lapse from Axiom. This disc, for those of you that didn't watch our review video, was a little bit more understable than the original version, but it wasn't mind-blowingly different. However, this was still very much popular. I've heard a bunch of mixed opinions. I've heard from other people that they are pretty flippy, get a lot of hyzer flip to turn with a little bit of fade at the end. I've heard from other people that they fly very similar to the originals. I think they're definitely just noticeably a little bit more understable. They have like a nice hyzer flip, but it by no means is it getting way more distance. Overall though, it feels much, much better than the original. The shoulder is a lot lower, makes it much more comfortable to hold in the hand. Overall, a much better version of the time-lapse, and I hope that if you haven't tried one, you should try one out, check one out and see if you find it a lot better than the OG. But that was disc number 9 in this list. Getting into disc number 8, we have a disc that's been in the list for a while, the fused buzzsaw from Discraft. Honestly, this is a little bit lower than expected. I expected this to be a little bit higher in the list. Still making the top 10 list is impressive. I think since it's come out though, it's always been in my top 5, so like I said, a little bit surprising. For those of you that don't know the fused buzzsaw or haven't been playing disc golf in a little bit, this is Discraft's overmold or just newer technology where they combine 2 different plastic types, which is their ESP and Z, and fuse them together. It kind of creates this really cool design on the rim of the disc. And I think it might put a little bit more weight on the edge of the disc. I'm not really sure, but overall, what I've noticed is I've actually started bagging a fused buzzsaw myself since I've been talking about it for the past couple of months, specifically in these videos. Figured I'd test out the hype. And these are definitely a lot more glidey, but they have a little bit more understability for the ones that are flat. For the ones that are domey, they definitely have a little bit more stability than the typical Buzzz and still have the same amount of glide. So these definitely, I'm not sure if they necessarily gets more distance, but you'll definitely notice the glide factor. If you put it on some hyzer and flip it up, it'll just gradually float to the right and then have a little bit of fade at the end. So maybe I would up the glide to like 4.5, almost 5 range. I'm not sure. I would say it's a little less glidey than a Hex still, but definitely noticeable between this and a regular stock Z or ESP Buzzz or even Big Z Buzzz. So very cool disc. If you haven't tried one out, I would highly recommend you do so. Getting into disc number 7, we have a newcomer and a new disc to the store. It is the Fission Hex. This disc I recently started stocking and it became an instant hit. I think a lot of people gravitate to the Fission plastic in general, as mentioned with this Fission Tesla. This one specifically also indicates that this hex has 5.5 glide instead of 5 glide, which may be enticing for some people as well. And I actually specifically have noticed that with the hex as well. The hex on its own is extremely glidey, gets a little bit more distance than the Buzzz, although it is a little bit more understable, a little bit harder to control in the wind for me personally. I've noticed with the Fission hexes, they definitely get a little bit more glide, they hyzer flip a little bit more, and they stay in the air for such a long time. Some of the farthest flying mid-ranges on the market in my opinion. Overall, a great disc. The hex in general is a great disc, but the Fission Hex has just been super popular. If you haven't tried one of these out, I would highly recommend that. That was disc number 7 in this list. So getting into disc number 6 in this list, for those of you that have been keeping up with the store, we have a new pre-owned disc selection on our site. And what pre-owned means is it could be used, and some discs are pre-owned, have been previously bought, but are just brand new. And a lot of people bring in their discs to me, I buy it off of them, and I figured since I have so many used pre-owned discs, I might as well put them up on the site. Some people bring in brand new stuff that they've never thrown, they just don't want anymore, so I post those on my site. I post pre-owned collectibles as well. In the number 6 spot, we have the pre-owned Eagle from Innova. And I believe I've uploaded a solid amount of Eagles. A lot of people have been turning in their Eagles, and I've just been posting them, and they have been really popular. 7.4, -1.3 flight numbers, highly popularized by Calvin Heimberg now. Maybe that's why a lot of people like the Eagle, but they've been going fast. And that goes for a lot of the other pre-owned discs on my store, including collectibles for people that are interested in all different types of pre-owned discs, whether they be really cheap $4.99 or really collectible $200 discs. I will have them on my site. I just got a bunch of used pre-owned discs in, and those should be up pretty soon too, if they're not up yet. Check out the pre-owned disc section. You won't be disappointed, and you could check out a pre-owned Eagle for as little as $7, $8.99. So that was slot number 6 on my top 10 list. Getting into slot number 5, funny enough, we have the pre-owned Axiom Hex. Hex, like as I said earlier, one of the most popular mid-ranges on the planet. One of the farthest flying mid-ranges on the planet as well, and in all different plastic types. And since I've been putting all these hexes up on my site for pretty good prices, $8.99, $9.99, $10.99 range, they've been going fast. I've been shipping a lot out, and I really appreciate the support. I'm stoked, honestly, that I decided to post these pre-owned discs. I started posting the top of the disc as well as the side profile, which I don't think any other company really does. So the pre-owned Axiom Hex was disc number 5 on this list, and I couldn't be more stoked. Like I said, if you haven't already, please check it out. Getting into disc number 4 in this list, we have the Neutron Soft Glitch from MVP. This disc never fails to make the top 10, and I say it every single time. It is probably the most beginner-friendly, versatile disc in disc golf. Players of all different skill levels can use it, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned veteran in the sport. This disc is definitely usable by most beginners since it's familiar to the Frisbee you used at the beach or played Ultimate Frisbee with in the park, or the disc you throw to your dog, whatever it may be. Or it's a disc that could be used by people that have played for a long time if you want to throw hyzer flip shots, get a shot with a lot of glide, make a disc fly really straight, just spark some fun into your disc golf game. The Glitch is definitely that disc. I say it every single month, so it comes as no surprise that it is still in my top 10 and still actually believe in my top 5 for the last few months. So pretty stoked on that. If you haven't tried a Glitch, make sure you check one out. But that was disc number 4 in this list. Getting into disc number 3 in this list. This is the first time that a pre-order disc has been in my top 10 in a long time, and it is the pre-ordered Proton Trail. I'm stoked on the support for the Proton Trail and the other pre-order discs that are available currently. For those of you that don't know, The Halloween edition MVP discs have been released for pre-order, and that includes some pretty awesome discs, including the Proton Trail, the Particle Eclipse Hex, the Proton Particle Insanity, the Cosmic Neutron Ohm, and forgetting the other disc. Oh, and the Particle Eclipse Fireball. So all those discs are available for pre-order, and the Proton Trail has had some overwhelming support, and for good reason. The Trail has been some of the most popular discs, has always typically been in my top 10, and it's to no surprise. The Trail has been a disc that is bagged by many players, and in the Fission plastic and the Neutron plastic, it has been extremely popular. It is to no surprise to me that the Proton Trail is going fast as well. If you haven't pre-ordered any of those discs, make sure to check it out because those will sell out soon. I'm assuming those discs will go very, very fast once they release. I believe they release September 17th in store and September 18th online, but I'll clarify in this video. Couldn't be more stoked with the support. Very happy to see that in my top 3, and we'll see where it is for the month of September. Getting into disc number 2 in this list, we have another fused discgraph disc. It is the fused Scorch. I believe this disc was released August 1st of this month. And since its release, it had just as much hype as the fused Buzzsaw. And this disc truly is much better than I expected. The Scorch typically is pretty understable and is used as rollers for most pros. I think Ezra Aderhold uses it as a roller. So I didn't know really what to expect with this. I had never really thrown a Scorch before, but when I tested this out, it's a perfect hyzer flip to drift disc with a little bit of fade at the end. I think I had my personal record distance thrown with this disc. I think it was like 467 plus or minus 14 feet or something like that on U-disc. Overall, just a great disc. It's definitely more stable than a typical stock Scorch, but it has way more glide and is much more controllable than I expected. And obviously, with the fused line, has a sick flame wheel on the edge of the disc, makes it that much cooler. The stamp is very cool as well. Pretty stoked on that. Can't wait to see what Discraft comes out with next with the fused line. I honestly don't really know what to expect. Maybe they'll have some fused nukes or fused Lunas, or I don't even know, maybe a fused Force for Paul Macbeth or something like that. But overall, very cool disc. Stoked to see it in my top 10 list and in that number 2 slot. Getting into the number 1 best-selling disc at my store, to no surprise, it is the Neutron Trail. Neutron Trail has definitely been in my top 3 best-selling discs since it's ever came out, for good reason. As I said with the Proton Trail earlier, the Neutron Trail just is extremely popular. Whether they're flat, domey, stiffer, softer, fission plastic, neutron plastic, and now proton plastic, they're very popular. They go pretty far. They're very neutral flying, especially for someone with average arm speed. It's a good, just neutral flying, reliable disc. The ones that are domey, you can get some nice hyzer flip to turn. The flatter ones are a little bit more stable, so pros can throw them pretty hard and have a nice straight flight, nice hyzer flip flight. I'm kind of curious to see what the Proton ones are like. Everyone that buys one in store, everyone that buys one online, they kind of say the same thing, that the Trail gets the same amount of distance as their 12-speed distance driver. And I've seen it online, how crazy people are for Trails, and I don't think that'll ever really end anytime soon. So if you haven't tried a Trail, I would highly recommend it. You could pre-order one of the Proton Trails, or you could just check out a stock Neutron one. I don't really have many left, but I will be restocking very soon. But that kind of does it for the video. Those were my top 10 best-selling discs at my store, Disc Zone. I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. The support over this past year of doing YouTube has been crazy. I couldn't do this without you guys, without the support of you. So thank you for that. If you want to check out any of these discs, you can check them out at www.disczone.com. Like I said, I have new, I have pre-owned used discs, I have collectible discs, I have hats, I have die discs from Circle One Dies. I have a bunch of discs on my site. And just by clicking on my site, that supports me a ton. If you want to buy a disc, that supports me even more. But thank you guys again for just watching these videos as well. Really means a lot. That kind of does it for this video. I'll be coming out with some more content soon. Stay tuned for that. You can like and subscribe, but we'll see you in the next one. Peace.